Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My dear students, how are you doing? Today we are going to start our second lesson, which is called as relative clauses. In this lesson we are going to know what do we mean by relative clauses and why do we use relative clauses, what are the different types of relative clauses. Relative clauses are clauses starting with the relative pronouns. هي الجمل الموصولة هي عبارة عن جمل تبتدئ بإحدى ضمائر الوصل. ما هي ضمائر الوصل؟ relative pronouns هي who, that, which, whose, where, when. They are most often جميع الجمل الموصولة عادة تستخدم used to define تعرف تحدد the noun that precedes them الاسم الذي سبق ضمائر الوصل. Just only to refresh our memory, the relative pronouns they are who for people, whose for position, when for time, where for places, which for objects and animals, that for people and things. But remember that just only we can use it in defining relative clause, which we are going to talk about later on. So remember to introduce relative clauses, we use one of these relative pronouns. Now we have two sentences and both of them they are defining the different types of relative clauses. Sentence number 1, my sister who is from Chicago visited me last week. Sentence number 2, my sister who is from Chicago visited me last week. Look into these two sentences. Do you see any difference here? Actually, the only difference here is using comma in sentence number 2. Does it make sense? Okay, before I'm telling more about these sentences, I'm gonna give you an example, a particular example. If I told you that I have 3 sisters, one she's in Chicago, the another one she is in Jordan, the third one she is in Sharjah, okay? And I told you something about my sister. I told you that my sister, she visited me last week. You are gonna ask yourself or gonna ask me whose sister you are talking about. You have 3 sisters, okay? In this way, I have to define whom I am talking about. But if you know that I have just only one sister, and I told you my sister visited me last week, is it necessary to tell you that my sister who is from Chicago, you know already whom I am talking about? You know that I don't have any other sisters, just only one. So sentence number 1 means that I have many sisters and I am referring to the one who is in Chicago. And this is what we call as defining sentence. We don't use comma before relative clauses. In sentence number 2 means that I have just only one sister. So there is no reason to give more information about her to make sense. And this is what we call as non-defining sentence. Okay? So if we deleted the relative clause from sentence number 2, it will not make any difference in the meaning. But in sentence number 1, if we deleted the relative clause, it will make difference in the meaning. Now, in abbreviation, we say defining relative clauses, we use it to give more details about a particular person, place, or thing that is being talked about. But the main thing that this defining relative clauses, they add necessary information. معلومات ضرورية جدا. The sentence has different meaning without it. If we delete it, relative clause, it will make difference in the meaning. We don't use commas, no commas. Here, in this type, we can use that instead of who or instead of which. He is the man who is daughter I met in Jordan. This is an example for defining relative clauses. Type number 2, non-defining relative clauses. We use it also to give more details about a particular person, place, or thing that is being called about us, being talked about. So, what is important here that we added extra unnecessary information. يعني هون relative clauses أضافت معلومة غير مهمة لأنه already we know the person or the place or the thing that we talked about. So the basic sentence means the same without it. يعني لو مسحناها the meaning will not different. We use commas. Here we use comma before relative pronouns. Never use that in non-defining relative clauses. We have an example here. The Sahara Desert, which is in Africa, is very hot. Sahara Desert is already known, so no need to tell where it's located. Okay? Now, at the end of our lesson, we have worksheet. I hope that you are going to do it, and I hope good time for all of you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.